Alright, new Ryan rant. God, they just seem to be happening more often now. So I'll be sharing an article with the video about something that was interesting I found. So the Texas 27th District Representative Ron Reynolds, Democrat, from Missouri City, which is the southwest side of the Houston area. In 2015, well, let's go back to the beginning. Okay, so in 2010, the man's elected, and 5 years later, gets convicted and sentenced to 1 year. Now, I guess the charge was that he got 5 counts of involving a middleman to chase down ambulances so he could get clients. The guy was, I'm assuming, probably one of those, like, are you injured lawyers, because he was a practicing attorney. So I'm assuming he was that kind of attorney based on, you know, chasing down ambulances trying to find clients. So it's basically poaching. I don't really know why it would be illegal, but, you know, it was a crime. It was committed while he was actively serving as a congressman. So he did something shiesty in the interest of his own personal business, sort of as a conflict of interest, really. And the man just won another elected term. Another elected term after this is okay. So he was convicted in September 7th, to be precise. So 2 months later, people that apparently knew him still voted for him, knowing that he's going to spend the next 10 months in jail. Like, he can't go anywhere. And it's a misdemeanor, and he's in county jail, so it's not like he's going to get any kind of early release. It's not like going to prison to where you can get out early on good behavior and things like that. No, you do your straight time there. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So he got reelected. Is supposed to be re-inaugurated in January. So he's going to spend the last 2 months of his previous term incarcerated, and the first 9 months of his fucking term, or 8.5 rather, of his term incarcerated. Now, U.S. congressmen and women make $174,000 a year. $174,000. So that means that this man is going to be getting $174,000 of taxpayer money for doing nothing but eating fucking ramen noodles and honey buns and watching The Price is Right. The only reason I know is because I've been locked up in Texas quite a few times, so I know what it's like. Like, that's all the man's gonna be doing. He's not gonna be doing his job. Why is he? I understand it's just a misdemeanor of what he was convicted for, and I understand it was like a non-violent crime. There's no drugs, nothing like that, nothing too serious, right? But the fact remains that he's still able to be considered an active congressman while incarcerated. If you can't be present for your job in the civilian world, like if I get locked up, and if you get locked up, right? All of you people watching, if you get locked up, you call your boss and say, hey bro, like I got pinched, you know, and this is what I'm doing, and they hit me with, you know, a year or 3 years or whatever. Like, your boss ain't gonna be like, oh, it's cool, we're still gonna pay you, we'll wait for you to get out. That ain't how, that shouldn't be how this works. If you cannot be present to do your job that you were elected by the people to do, and these same people that are using their tax money to pay your fucking salary. They're basically your customers. If you can't be there for your customers, you're out of a job. That should be the case. All right, I've been coming up with a whole list of ideas to present to my fucking local congressman, because I understand that as a voter, I have a right to meet with my representative to talk about ideas that I have. And you have the same ideas too. A lot of people don't really act on it because they don't want to take the time away from work and family and things like that. They just don't want to bother themselves. They want to leave it up to the actual legislators to come up with the ideas. But it's up to us. So, let's get back on track here. Okay, so the man's locked up. Gonna be locked up until at least September 7th, 2019. So he will miss almost the entire year of his job because of something stupid that he did while he was already an elected official and somehow got reelected. So the whole point of this video is to point out how blindly people vote. You know, and it's not just Democrats, it's you know, Republicans too. So I don't want to sit here and seem 100% biased. It's mostly Democrats because the fact that they just have this view against Democrats or against Republicans that's so evil that they just refuse to have a Republican. Kind of like fucking Miss Socialist up in New York, her district, right? So the Bronx, Queens, and some of the other neighborhoods north of the river, that's her district. This new little fucking bartender socialist, Octavius something, whatever. So I looked up the history of that, and that district has never had a single Republican, ever. Not once in the entire history of that district. Like, even if of it being reconfigured on a map, it's never had a Republican. And that's because they're so anti-Republican that they just refuse. And she won. Like, the Republican candidate in that district only had like 17,000 votes, and this girl Octavia, or whatever her freaking name is, had like over 100,000 votes. That's 100. I mean, and it wasn't like she really had any good ideas, because all she's doing is spouting on about socialism, right? It's primarily a black and Hispanic area, more Hispanic than black, but spouting on about socialism. So they weren't voting for her because of her ideas of socialism. They were voting for her because she was a similar raced local yokel that, you know, was one of the people. You know, she wasn't the bartender. She wasn't anything special. She had no practice in legislating. She just had some ideas that she felt would be better for the nation. You know? And like I said, anyone can do this. They can come up with ideas to present to the representative to bring to the floor, or can run to become a representative to bring their ideas to the floor. So good for her for acting on her drive, but shame on the fucking voters for not even voting correctly. They were just voting based on the fact that she was a Democrat. I mean, if the Republican were a twin sister spouting for socialism, it would literally, this girl would still win because of the fact that she was a Democrat. That's the problem, is most of these Democrats just vote so blindly, like they know they're going in to vote for a Democrat. I primarily vote Republican in the polls, but I have also voted Libertarian in certain cases. And I've also voted what seems to be against the interests of the people, because some things might come out shiesty, but the way that I perceive the laws to be enacted that are being voted on, they don't come off as being shiesty. So, you know, it's on me if it ends up being bad. Whatever. I'm the one that voted for it. But I'm not always going in blindly saying, oh, R, check. Oh, R, check. No. I sit there and I read on Ballotopedia and any other sources while I'm at the booth. And I'm reading, like, on the issues. Where are they on abortion? Where are they on guns? Where are they on taxes, immigration, things like that. You know, I have my set ways to where, generally speaking, Republicans are going to appease to my desire for what a leader is going to uphold, just as the Democrats do. But if a Democrat came out and said, I want to help build the wall, but the Republican candidate was like, nah, we're not going to waste time with that. No, I'm going to vote for the guy that wants to fucking restrict immigration by building a wall and making a single portal of entry. Like, no more cheating the system, you know, and increasing immigration at the airports, because that's where most of these people are coming in. I would vote Democrat if that candidate were for the things that I believed in. So I'm not a blind Republican voter. It's just that most Democratic candidates don't see eye to eye with me. So I'm not gonna like say, okay, yeah, I want to put you in power because I don't agree with what you're gonna do in office. So you guys need to stop voting so fucking blindly to where you literally put an inmate. I mean, he might have been a stand-up guy. He didn't do that much of a serious crime against humanity. I mean, but the fact remains is he broke the law while being a legislator for that district. So I don't see how the people could trust him if he's not trustworthy. Plain and simple. And for those of you that want to be like, oh, well, Donald Trump's pulling this and that in Russia and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, if Donald Trump's doing it and not getting arrested for it, then it's not illegal. And therefore, that's just your opinion of what's moral and what's not. Whereas the law is drawn clearly in the sand. This was an illegal act. He did it anyways, while representing the people of Southwest Houston area. There needs to be some kind of bill presented to the floor saying if a representative is to become incarcerated while in service to the House of Representatives, that they lose their privileges, they lose their pay, and lose their titles, and a temporary step-in comes in until either they're done with their time or just completely replaced, depending on the severity of the situation of misdemeanor violent crime, things like that. If it's a felony, certain circumstances and stipulations to where they can either be like, you're out or you're benched. And in this case, I believe that Ron Reynolds of Missouri City, 27th Texas District, needs to be benched and needs to have his pay suspended because he cannot actively do his job. Therefore, he should not be rewarded for the job not being capable of being done due to being incarcerated. He's indisposed and incapable of performing his duties. You can't pay someone that can't do their duties. Plain and simple. I know I kind of sound like a broken record. I've been going back and forth with this. So I'm just going to leave it with this. Know your candidates. Don't just look at the R, the D, or the L and say, oh, fuck yeah, that's my shit. Read up on your candidates. Read up on who you're actually putting in office. I mean, in most cases, your selected party will generally appease to your desire, but not in all cases. So that's why you really need to read it. And you also need to know if the person is fucking like pending indictment for some shit or is going to jail 100% or is in jail in Ron Reynolds' case. Come on, guys. seriously, it's pathetic. So I think I've cleared the air on it. Don't vote blindly. Read up on your peoples. Come up with good ideas. Like, you know, let's help the new house. You know, I know everyone has ideas on how they want to change the nation, but we can't just leave it up to the legislators. We have the ideas. We are the constituents. We are the paying customers. We have a right to have a say by submitting ideas to be presented to the floor. And you got to do it quick, because the next floor is coming up in 2 months. And if you want your idea to hit the floor, better be fucking good. With that said, rant over. Mufasa out. Thanks.